Being a chosen one is more of a burden than a privilege, despite how glamorous it may appear from the outside. When people hear the term chosen one, they imagine someone blessed with special gifts, extraordinary talents, or a destiny filled with greatness. They assume this person has been selected by fate or some divine force for a life of honor, importance, and admiration. However, what people fail to realize is that being chosen comes with a price. A heavy price that most are neither ready nor willing to pay. The weight of expectations, the constant pressure to succeed, and the isolation that comes from being set apart from others turn this so-called privilege into a lifelong burden. A chosen one is not like everyone else. That separation, which makes them unique, also makes them lonely. While others can live ordinary lives, building relationships, enjoying freedom, and making mistakes without the world watching, a chosen one must walk a different path. Their every move is judged, their failures are magnified, and their personal desires are often sacrificed for the greater good. They are not given the luxury of being just human. They are expected to be symbols of strength, hope, and perfection. This relentless pressure forces them to suppress their emotions and hide their fears, leaving no space for vulnerability. Romantic relationships in particular become almost impossible for a chosen one. Love requires time, trust, and emotional openness, things that are constantly denied to those carrying the weight of destiny. A chosen one is often too consumed by their purpose to offer the attention and care a romantic partner deserves. They fear that anyone they love will either become a weakness to be exploited by enemies or a distraction that could make them lose sight of their mission. Even if love finds them, it is often brief and painful because the path they walk demands solitude, not companionship. The burden of being chosen also strips away the right to a normal life. Ordinary people get to chase dreams, follow passions, and make decisions purely for themselves. A chosen one, on the other hand, must always prioritize the needs of others above their own. Their life is no longer theirs. It belongs to the people they are meant to save, lead, or protect. In this way, their freedom is stolen from them the moment they are chosen. Every step they take is dictated by fate, not desire, leaving them feeling like prisoners of their own destiny. This burden is made even heavier by the fact that no one truly understands it. People admire chosen ones from a distance, celebrating their victories and praising their strengths. But few pause to think about the cost of that strength. Few wonder how much pain was endured to build that resilience. The chosen ones themselves cannot complain or show weakness because they are supposed to be symbols of hope, and hope cannot be seen breaking. They are trapped in a role where they are expected to shine, even when they are shattering inside. What people mistake for privilege is in reality isolation. What people call honor is in truth sacrifice, and what looks like glory is often pain disguised by a brave face. Being a chosen one means living for everyone else while dying a little inside every day. It is not a blessing to be envied. It is a burden to be understood. Chosen ones are often isolated because their purpose leaves no room for romantic connections. From the outside, their lives may appear extraordinary, filled with adventure, power, and importance. They are seen as heroes, leaders, or special individuals destined for greatness. However, behind this image lies a truth far less glamorous. The path of a chosen one is a lonely one, not because they dislike love or connection, but because their purpose consumes every part of who they are. There is simply no space left for romance, no time for love to grow, and no emotional energy to invest in a relationship. The life of a chosen one revolves around duty. Whether they are meant to save a kingdom, lead a movement, or fulfill a prophecy, their responsibility demands total focus. Every moment is planned, every step is crucial, and every mistake carries heavy consequences. In such a life, romantic relationships become nearly impossible. Romance requires time to understand another person, to share moments, to create memories together. A chosen one does not have that time because their purpose constantly pulls them in another direction. Their attention is divided between tasks, responsibilities, and battles, leaving little to offer a partner. Beyond time, romantic relationships also require vulnerability. Love is not just about grand gestures and beautiful words, it's about opening up, sharing fears, and trusting someone completely. But chosen ones cannot afford vulnerability. They are expected to be strong, unshaken, and ready to face any challenge without hesitation. If they show weakness, it could break the confidence of those who depend on them. If they lean too much on someone, they risk losing the independence that their purpose demands. As a result, they build walls around their hearts, not because they want to, but because they have no other choice. Another painful reality is that love can be dangerous for chosen ones. Anyone they love becomes a target. Enemies can use romantic partners as leverage, threatening their safety to weaken the chosen one. This fear alone is enough to keep chosen ones distant, choosing isolation over the risk of endangering someone they care about. For them, love is not just a risk to their heart, it's a risk to the person they love and to the mission they are meant to complete. Loving someone deeply could mean sacrificing everything, and for a chosen one, their duty comes first, always. Even when a chosen one tries to experience romance, it is often brief and heartbreaking. Their partners may struggle to understand their sense of duty and the constant weight on their shoulders. They may feel neglected, left behind in the shadow of a greater purpose. This disconnect creates cracks in their relationship until it eventually falls apart. The chosen one is left alone again, reminded that their path is not meant to be shared. This isolation is not a punishment, but a consequence of greatness. It is the price they pay for being set apart. While others can build families, chase love, and dream of personal happiness, the chosen one walks a path carved by fate, one that demands sacrifice at every step. Their heart belongs to the world they are meant to save, not to a single person. This may seem tragic, but for the chosen one, it becomes a truth they learn to accept. In the end, they are remembered not for who they loved, but for what they achieved. And that is the lonely reality of being chosen. Romantic relationships require time, vulnerability, and emotional availability, things chosen ones cannot afford. From the outside, love may seem like a natural and beautiful part of life, something everyone deserves to experience. But for chosen ones, those destined to carry the weight of responsibility, leadership, or saving others, romance becomes a luxury they cannot afford. It's not because they do not long for love or connection. In fact, many of them do, but the demands placed on their shoulders leave no room for the emotional work that love requires. Time is one of the first obstacles. Love does not bloom instantly. It grows through shared experiences, conversations, and quiet moments where two people learn to understand each other. But chosen ones rarely have time to pause. Their schedules are filled with duties, training, battles, or constant problem solving. Every minute they spend nurturing a romantic connection is a minute taken away from their mission, a mission that could be larger than life itself. When the world depends on them, how can they justify taking time for personal happiness? Even if they find someone they care for, that person is often left waiting, alone, overshadowed by the endless responsibilities that define the chosen one's life. Vulnerability, another essential part of romance, is even harder for chosen ones. Love asks us to lower our defenses, to let someone see our fears, weaknesses, and insecurities. But chosen ones live in a world where showing weakness could lead to disaster. They are symbols of strength for those who follow them, and even a moment of doubt could shake the confidence of their people. Because of this, they learn to build walls around their hearts, keeping their struggles hidden from the world, including from those they love. This emotional armor protects them from appearing fragile, but it also shuts out the possibility of deep romantic intimacy. After all, how can someone truly love you if they are never allowed to see the real you? Emotional availability is perhaps the most complicated challenge. Being emotionally present in a relationship means offering your heart, your attention, and your emotional energy to your partner. But chosen ones are constantly emotionally drained by the weight of their purpose. Their minds are occupied with plans, strategies, dangers, and the well-being of others. When they finally have a rare moment to breathe, they are often too exhausted to engage in the emotional give and take that relationships demand. They might care deeply, but they cannot offer the consistent presence and care that love needs to thrive. This emotional distance doesn't stem from a lack of love, but from the constant internal battle they fight, the war between their personal desires and the larger purpose they are meant to fulfill. Their hearts are not empty, they are simply overburdened. They carry the fears and hopes of everyone who relies on them, leaving little room for their own desires to be nurtured. Even if a chosen one dares to pursue romance, they often feel guilt. Guilt for wanting something so personal when others are suffering, when there's a war to fight or a world to save. Love becomes an indulgence they believe they do not deserve. As a result, they convince themselves that isolation is simpler, safer for themselves and for those they might have loved. In the end, chosen ones are left walking a lonely road, not because they are incapable of love, but because love requires exactly what fate has taken from them: time, vulnerability, and emotional availability. This is the hidden tragedy behind their strength, a heart that longs for connection, trapped inside a life that leaves no room for it. They fear that love could become a weakness or that their loved ones might be in danger. This fear is not born out of coldness or a lack of desire for connection. In fact, many chosen ones deeply crave love, the warmth of companionship, the comfort of having someone who sees them not as a symbol, but simply as a human being. Yet the very nature of their destiny makes love feel like a dangerous gamble, a risk that could cost far more than just a broken heart. For those burdened with great responsibility, love is not only a blessing, but also a potential weapon that could be used against them. When someone has a special destiny, whether they are a leader, a protector, or the hope of an entire people, they become a target. Enemies seek to weaken them, not just by attacking their strength, but by exploiting their vulnerabilities. And what greater vulnerability exists than love? The moment a chosen one opens their heart to someone, they create a weak point in their armor. That person, their beloved, instantly becomes their Achilles heel, the one thing they cannot bear to lose. This knowledge creates a constant fear, a voice in the back of their mind whispering, "If I love, I endanger them." This fear is not imaginary. History and stories are filled with examples of heroes whose enemies use their loved ones to break them. A captured lover becomes leverage, a hostage to force impossible decisions. A threatened partner becomes a distraction, making the chosen one hesitate at a critical moment. Even if the enemy never strikes, the fear alone is enough to keep the chosen one from fully embracing love. Every tender moment feels shadowed by the possibility of tragedy, and every bond becomes a potential weakness that could unravel everything they have fought for. But the danger is not just external, it also comes from within. Love demands vulnerability. It asks the chosen one to lower their guard, to allow someone to see the raw, unpolished parts of themselves. For someone whose entire identity is built on strength and control, this vulnerability can feel terrifying. What if love softens them too much? What if they become hesitant to take risks or make hard decisions because they are too worried about leaving their loved one behind? What if they lose the sharp edge that makes them capable of fulfilling their purpose? This internal conflict creates guilt. How can they justify risking someone else's safety just for their own happiness? The chosen one's role is to protect others. How selfish would it be to bring someone they love into a life of constant danger? Even if their partner is strong, even if they are willing to stand beside them, the chosen one carries the weight of responsibility alone. They believe that choosing love means risking not only their mission, but also the person they hold dearest. And so many chosen ones choose isolation instead. They convince themselves that love is a distraction they cannot afford and a weakness they must avoid. They build emotional walls, not because they do not feel, but because they feel too much. They believe that by staying alone, they are protecting, not only their loved ones, but also their own ability to fulfill their destiny. Yet, deep inside, this choice leaves an emptiness, a longing for a connection they deny themselves. This is the painful paradox of being chosen. The heart desires love, but the mind fears that love could destroy everything they are meant to protect. In the end, the fear of losing love becomes stronger than the hope of finding it, leaving the chosen one to walk a lonely road, guarded, isolated, and forever wondering what might have been. People admire chosen ones for their strength, but rarely understand their inner loneliness. From the outside, a chosen one appears to be a figure of greatness, powerful, brave, and unstoppable. They are celebrated for their courage, praised for their achievements, and held up as symbols of hope and inspiration. Crowds cheer for them, stories are told about them, and songs are written in their honor. Yet, beneath all of this admiration lies a truth that few ever see. The chosen one's life is often marked by a deep and painful loneliness that comes from being set apart from everyone else. This loneliness begins with the very thing that makes them special, their unique destiny. While ordinary people are free to live simple lives filled with friendships, love, and personal dreams, chosen ones are burdened with a higher purpose. Their path is not one they chose for themselves. It was forced upon them by fate, prophecy, or circumstances beyond their control. Because of this, they are always different. No matter how much they may want to blend in, they stand apart. Their responsibilities and the constant pressure to succeed leave little room for the connections that make life meaningful. People admire their strength, but they forget that this strength comes at a cost. To be strong all the time means hiding fear, burying sadness, and pretending to be unbreakable, even when the weight of the world feels too heavy to carry. Chosen ones learn early that showing vulnerability can make others lose faith in them. They are not allowed to cry like everyone else, to doubt themselves, or to admit they are tired. If they show weakness, people fear that the symbol of hope is crumbling. As a result, chosen ones become experts at wearing masks, strong on the outside, even if they are lonely and broken on the inside. The admiration they receive only adds to this isolation. People see them as larger than life, almost like legends or untouchable heroes. This makes it difficult for anyone to truly understand them as human beings. Friends hesitate to get too close, feeling intimidated by their greatness. Potential romantic partners fear they will never be enough or struggle to handle the dangers that come with loving a chosen one. Even family members may treat them differently, placing unrealistic expectations on their shoulders instead of offering comfort and understanding. Slowly, the chosen one's circle grows smaller and smaller until they are left standing alone. This loneliness is made worse by the fact that they cannot truly share their burdens, the choices they face, life and death decisions, moral struggles, sacrifices, are things that ordinary people cannot comprehend. How do you explain the weight of a kingdom, the responsibility of saving lives, or the fear of failing millions of people? These are not conversations chosen ones can have over casual tea with friends. They are alone with their thoughts, their fears, and their guilt, trapped in silence while the world watches and admires their strength. Even in moments of celebration, when victories are won and crowds cheer their name, the chosen one's loneliness lingers, because the applause is for the image, the hero they see, not the human underneath. And once the celebration fades, the chosen one is left with nothing but silence, haunted by everything they have sacrificed to be strong for everyone else. This is the hidden truth behind their glory. They stand high above others, but that height only leaves them further away from human connection. People admire chosen ones for their strength, but they rarely understand that strength itself is a prison. It locks them away from vulnerability, from companionship, and from the simple joy of being understood. In the end, the strongest people are often the loneliest, carrying the weight of admiration while longing for someone to see them, not as a symbol, but as a soul in need of love. True power often comes with deep isolation, leaving chosen ones longing for connection they may never have. When people imagine power, they think of greatness, respect, and admiration. They see the chosen ones as symbols of strength and bravery, individuals who rise above the rest, carrying the hopes and dreams of many. But what most fail to see is the emptiness that often comes with this power. True power does not just lift someone up, it pushes them away from the warmth of ordinary life. The stronger a chosen one becomes, the more isolated they feel, and the more they crave a connection that always seems just out of reach. This isolation begins the moment they are set apart. Whether they are chosen by fate, prophecy, or circumstances, their path is no longer their own. While others are free to build friendships, fall in love, and chase personal dreams, the chosen ones are burdened with a mission greater than themselves. Every decision they make, every step they take is tied to that responsibility. There is no freedom to simply exist. They must always live for something bigger. And the more they succeed, the more people view them not as individuals, but as legends. This admiration, though well-intentioned, creates an invisible wall. People stop seeing the person behind the power, leaving the chosen one standing alone, craving the simple human connections they once knew. The weight of this power leaves little space for vulnerability, which is at the heart of real connection. To be understood by another person, you must open up, share fears and weaknesses, and allow someone to truly see you. But chosen ones cannot afford that luxury. Vulnerability feels dangerous, a crack in their armor that could break the image of strength others rely on. If they show fear, those who follow them might lose hope. If they reveal their struggles, they risk appearing weak in front of enemies. And so they hide their true selves, burying their longing for comfort deep beneath layers of strength. They stand tall because they must, but inside they feel the ache of being unseen. Even when they do find someone who tries to understand them, the chosen ones hesitate. Love, friendship, and trust all come with risk. The risk of loss, the risk of distraction, and the risk of betrayal. In a life filled with danger and responsibility, these risks feel too great. Loving someone means exposing them to the threats that constantly surround the chosen one. Caring too much means creating a weakness that enemies can exploit. As a result, many chosen ones choose distance over intimacy, convincing themselves that isolation is the price they must pay for power. They tell themselves they are protecting others, when in reality, they are also protecting their own hearts from the pain of losing someone they care about. But no matter how much they try to deny it, the desire for connection never truly disappears. Underneath all the strength and power is a human heart longing to be seen, not as a hero, but as a person. They want someone to listen to their fears without judgment, someone who cares for them not because they are powerful, but simply because they are who they are. This longing lingers quietly, hidden beneath duty and armor, but it never fades. True power is not just a gift, it is a prison made of admiration, expectation, and fear. It lifts chosen ones high above the crowd, but leaves them reaching down, hoping to touch something real. They become symbols of strength, but in their hearts they are simply people, longing for the connection they may never have. This is the quiet tragedy of power. The higher you rise, the harder it becomes to find someone willing to walk beside you, not as a follower, but as an equal, a friend, or a love.